everyone. So this is our first science video on our channel. In the kind of chaos on Friday, Miss Johnson and I unfortunately did not have time to photocopy your textbook chapter. So this was the last lesson in chapter 5 that we needed to complete. And then you would have had your test afterwards. So what's going to happen at the end of this video, I am going to display all of the test questions, and I would like you to either write down your answers and take a photo and send it to me or Miss Johnson, or you can type up all your answers and email them that way. But please make sure you get your answers to us. If you are not able to do that, let us know that as well so we can figure out something else. Okay, so this is lesson 6 in chapter 5. It says, what cycles occur in ecosystems? In an ecosystem, a substance may be passed from one organism to another. These substances go through an ecosystem again and again. Recycling matter. Every day in every ecosystems, animals produce waste products. Eventually, plants, animals, and all other organisms will die. There must be a way to clean up the waste and dead matter. Okay, so if we look at our little picture down here, we have a fungus breaks down a log by releasing special chemicals. Materials from the log are then absorbed by the fungus and used as food. And we have a little animal here called the banana slug. Unfortunately, copies are not in color, but the description says with its yellow coloring and long body, it is not hard to see why it is called the banana slug. As it eats material on the forest floor, this decomposer can grow to be 25 centimeters long. So it's not terribly big, but it has an important role. Decomposers are organisms that eat waste and dead matter. By doing this, they break material into smaller pieces and put it back into the soil. Most decomposers are microorganisms like bacteria and fungi. Earthworms, flies, and slugs are also decomposers. Whenever you see something decaying or rotting, decomposers have been at work. Decomposers have the important niche or role of recycling wastes and dead material. They make minerals and nutrients that were in waste or dead materials available to living plants. These plants will then be food for other organisms. In this way, minerals and nutrients become part of a cycle. A cycle is a repeating process or a repeating flow of material through a system. There is a consistent cycle of minerals and some nutrients moving from living things to the soil and back into living things. Decomposers are not the only things that break down dead matter. Fire also does this. When plants burn, their ashes become part of the soil. Okay, so we've got another little diagram down here. There's little molds at the bottom here. Slime molds are protists. They not only decompose matter, but they also eat bacteria. So they have multiple niches or roles. We have carpenter ants. Do not eat the wood, but they do chew through it to make their homes. The resulting wood particles can be added to the soil faster. We have carpenter ants around here, so pretty soon as this weather stays nice, you'll start seeing them out and about. And then we have the almond-scented millipede. Eats pine needles and other leaves that have fallen from the trees. Okay, so they're the little insects that have like a lot of legs. So if you don't like bugs, they're probably one you don't like. The nitrogen cycle. Cells in plants and animals need nitrogen to do their work. Nitrogen cycles through ecosystems. It moves through the food chain and other processes. Nitrogen is also all around us. Almost 8/10 of Earth's atmosphere is nitrogen gas. Most organisms cannot use nitrogen gas from the air. They must use nitrogen compounds. These are different kinds of chemicals that contain nitrogen. Nitrogen compounds are made in many ways in nature. Okay, so I'm going to do a little side note. You've been working on fractions in math. If you do not understand what 8/10 represents, if we put it in a percentage, you might understand that. That's 80% out of 100%, okay? 80% of the Earth's atmosphere is nitrogen gas. All right, let's continue. Nitrogen compounds can form in the atmosphere. The high temperatures of lightning can cause nitrogen to combine with other gases in the air and make nitrogen compounds. These compounds reach Earth's soil and water in rainfall. Some kinds of bacteria make nitrogen compounds and put them into the soil. Plant roots absorb the compounds along with the water in the soil. Some plants in tropical rainforests contain bacteria that make nitrogen compounds. These plants grow in the upper branches of the trees in the forest. Bacteria living in special roots are able to take in nitrogen directly from the air. Herbivores get the nitrogen they need when they eat plants. Carnivores get nitrogen when they eat the herbivores. So remember, herbivores are like the vegetarians. They eat only plants. Carnivores eat meat. So yes, unfortunately, that includes the herbivores. Nitrogen returns to the soil or air when animals and plants die. It also returns in animals' waste products. Decomposers break down the remains of dead organisms and waste products. They change the animal's nitrogen compounds into kinds that plants can use. The compounds return to the soil or air and the cycle repeats. People add nitrogen compounds to the soil. Many farmers use fertilizers that contain nitrogen. Fertilizers are materials that make soil better for growing crops. The discovery of how to make fertilizers with nitrogen was very important to society. Farmers can now grow more food in their fields. Carbon dioxide and oxygen. Oxygen is the second most abundant gas in the atmosphere. It makes up about 2/10 of the air. Carbon dioxide is much less abundant. It makes up less than 1/100th of the air. Okay, that is a lot smaller, okay, than 2/10. Remember, 2/10 is going to be about 20%. Okay, and this makes a very tiny amount. Even so, there is enough carbon dioxide to meet the needs of all the world's plants. Carbon dioxide and oxygen gases are constantly being made and used in the world's ecosystems. You have learned that plants take in carbon dioxide and give off oxygen, and animals take in oxygen and give off carbon dioxide. But the use of these gases is not as simple as that. As this diagram shows, the give and take of oxygen and carbon dioxide has many paths through an ecosystem. Oxygen can enter the atmosphere during photosynthesis. Many kinds of organisms besides plants make oxygen gas by photosynthesis. So remember, photosynthesis is the way plants kind of make their food and their energy sources. The same kind of process happens here. Some kinds of microscopic organisms in the ocean, called plankton, make oxygen by photosynthesis. Also, some kinds of bacteria and protists can make oxygen gas by photosynthesis. So there's a lot of different things other than the plants that can make energy using photosynthesis, and that's using the sun, okay, to create that food and that energy. Carbon dioxide also enters the atmosphere in many ways. Two major ways are through cellular respiration and combustion. Remember that cellular respiration is a process that cells use to get energy. In respiration, cells combine oxygen with food. The results of respiration are carbon dioxide and water. Plants and animals, both on land and in water, live by respiration. Combustion is the burning of a material. One of the results of combustion is carbon dioxide. Combustion occurs naturally, such as in forest fires. It also occurs in machines, such as cars, power plants, and home furnaces. Okay, so there you have it. That is the rest of chapter 5. So we started out talking about the roles of different organisms and how they kind of balance out the ecosystem. We talked about the energy pyramid, and you guys are all creating a food web, hopefully. Okay, that is one of your assignments that you need to do. And that shows us how energy transfers from the different types of animals or plants, whatever you may choose to use on your food web. Okay, so now is the time. Remember, if you have questions, please email myself or Miss Johnson. Okay, when I flip this page, it is going to be the first part of the Chapter 5 test. Now, I'm going to show each page for a few seconds. That means just pause the video, you record all your answers down, and then you can resume it. It will be flipped to the next page and do the same thing. It is very important that you complete these questions on this test. Please just make sure they are labeled. You do not need to write the entire question out, okay? Just your answers, but that's why we require the label, okay? So good luck. Use your brains. You have all the information you need, okay? So you have your vocabulary: community, cycle, ecosystem, energy pyramid, habitat, niche, population. You use the terms from the list above to complete each sentence. Okay, so you can see 1 through 5. So I would pause the video, answer 1 through 5. Okay, I'm going to scroll up here. You can see the rest of them, 6 and 7. Okay, and on the opposite side, you saw the explain concepts. So explain concepts, you have 8, 9, and 10. It says explain. Make sure you have details, okay? They don't need to be paragraphs long, but please make sure you have some details. And then 11 and 12 at the bottom. Okay, so remember, I'm just showing these. Please pause the video so you have time to look at the questions and answer. Okay, and the last page. Okay, so you have your process skills. You have to use the chart. Okay, this one is not graded, but I want you to try. Okay, so it's not graded, but you need to still try it. I need to see an answer for 13. You have predict at the bottom. You have multiple choice questions, 15 through 18. And then your last two, you're losing 19. You have to use question 18. Explain why that answer is best. Okay, and 20 is very simple. We've done this before. Okay, when you created your own ecosystem. Now you're going to describe an ecosystem. So the tundra, you've got the desert, you have the oceans, lakes, rivers, okay, the taiga biome. You have all of these different ecosystems. List the living and non-living parts and the processes of the system. Discuss the niches of the organisms you list. Please give me at least 2 organisms. Okay, 2 organisms. Describe the jobs or the roles of those 2 organisms. All right, everyone, that wraps up Chapter 5. Please take your time on this assessment. Write down all your answers. Please have your parents email me a picture of your answers or type up your answers, whatever you're more comfortable with, and send them. But please make sure you do this assessment. Thank you.